Right now, areas of downtown Los Angeles are locked down. 700 Marines are being deployed to Los Angeles. Police and National Guard soldiers securing areas around federal buildings in the city after a weekend of violent protests. The protesters, LA's mayor and Governor Gavin Newsom, are demanding an end to sweeping immigration raids by federal agents.
And those protests are spreading to cities throughout California. Live Copter 3 is over our state capitol, where rallies and marches against the ICE raids and the deployment of the National Guard to stop the protests are now converging. And as people are protesting, President Trump and Governor Gavin Newsom are engaged in their own battle over this issue.
The people that are causing the problem are professional agitators, they're insurrectionists, they're bad people, they should be in jail.
I mean, where's your decency, Mr. President? Stop. Rescind this order. It's illegal and unconstitutional.
The struggle between California and the Trump administration escalated today. Thank you for joining us here for our news at 4. I'm Edie Lambert.
And I'm Andrea Flores. All of this starting with last Friday's raids by immigration officers in Los Angeles. So here's the latest. Governor Gavin Newsom is suing the Trump administration over the deployment of National Guard troops. SEIU President David Huerta, who was arrested on Friday, faces felony charges that could land him in federal prison for 6 years. All of this as the military buildup on the streets of Los Angeles escalates. Right now, 2,000 members of the National Guard have been activated. Of those, 300 have been deployed. And now about 700 active duty Marines are being mobilized to respond to Los Angeles. President Trump now says the arrest of Governor Newsom could be a, quote, great thing. We have live team coverage from Southern California to here at home, along with reaction from both sides of the political aisle. We want to start with Jay Gray, who is live in Los Angeles on the ground. So, Jay, what are you seeing out there?
Well, we still have a large crowd here. Things have been ramping up rather significantly. Protesters just outside the federal courthouse. We'll walk you in and take a look up the doors. You've got not only police, but you've also got some of those National Guard troops blocking things here. A bit of push back and forth, but nothing serious. No serious altercations to this point. Still a lot of concern that this afternoon could turn into another evening of confrontations and chaos in downtown Los Angeles.
Burned out cars, broken glass and debris litter the streets of downtown Los Angeles. Remnants from a weekend of violence. Thousands of protesters, police, and the National Guard squaring off as sweeping immigration raids continue across the city.
What ICE did the last couple of days is make Los Angeles safer by taking public safety threats off the street.
Dozens have been detained. Family members speaking publicly for the first time today say most are simple, hard-working laborers.
I'm here today on behalf of my father and the dozens of families who were kidnapped by ICE. I witnessed how they put my father in handcuffs, chained him from the waist and from his ankles.
She says the detainees haven't been allowed to communicate with lawyers or their families.
But Donald Trump, at the end of the day, is the sponsor of these conditions.
California Governor Gavin Newsom accusing the president of manufacturing a crisis, federalizing 2,000 of the state's National Guard soldiers, deploying around 300 so far. A move being challenged now in court.
I, in partnership with Governor Gavin Newsom, are suing President Trump. Trump and Hegseth ignored law enforcement's expertise and guidance and trampled over our state's, California's, sovereignty.
Undeterred, President Trump says the raids and show of force will continue.
We're going to have troops everywhere.
The president this afternoon ordering 700 California-based Marines to deploy to the area.
Yeah, just a little more perspective now on exactly what's happening here in downtown. The crowd really gathering between what is City Hall and this federal courthouse here. And I would say there are a few hundred people here, not near what we saw the weekend, but still enough to make a difference and to close down sections of the downtown area. Let's talk a little bit about those 700 Marines. We know that they are coming in, but only on a temporary basis. We've been told that they are going to be here until more of the National Guard, the California National Guard troops, make their way in. Ladies.
Okay, yeah, definitely an escalation there with calling up active duty Marines. Jay, thank you.
And we can give you a live look at the protests in Los Angeles. Despite the deployment of military troops, thousands of people continue to march in Los Angeles today. Again, this is a live look at a group here on a busy corner. It appears that we're seeing some folks here up against some law enforcement and some police officers here. Again, not sure why this particular street corner is a point of interest right now, but again, we're seeing these protests all over the city. And there are marches happening here in Northern California.
One of those is happening right now around the state capitol. KCRA3's Carolina Estrada joins us live with a look at that demonstration. Carolina?
Yeah, well, one thing to point out about this march is that it has been very peaceful overall. It has had several stops, the last one here outside of the state capitol. Let me give you a live look at what we're seeing out here right now. You can see that group of about 100 people that are gathered out here right now. They're chanting, they have signs, they're calling for an end to the ICE raids and arrests that have happened throughout the country, including here in Sacramento. They are also asking for the enforcement tactics used by President Donald Trump's administration to stop. Like I mentioned, overall, it has been very peaceful. It started just after 2 p.m. from Cesar Chavez Park. They walked all the way to the federal building on 7th Street and Capitol Mall. That is where immigration courts are at here in Sacramento, and also the ICE offices. When they arrived, there was a sign that said the building was closed for the day. So they just stood out there. They kept chanting. They had music, and then walked here to the state capitol. Now, we had the opportunity to talk to some of the people that have joined this march, all of them from throughout the greater Sacramento area. A woman whose parents are from Nicaragua. She was born here in the United States. She tells us that she decided to join after seeing everything that was unfolding in Los Angeles. She says that she's heartbroken to see the videos and the arrests that are happening here throughout the country in the last couple of days. And we spoke to one of the organizers of this march. She tells us that this really is in response to what has been happening in Southern California. They wanted to show solidarity. However, here in Sacramento, like I mentioned, there has been no incident whatsoever. And one thing that's important to also point out about what happened out here today is that Sacramento police had officers actually monitoring the whole situation throughout the way as they made their way around downtown Sacramento. They were making sure that the traffic was blocked, and they were just keeping an eye on the situation. Now, right now, what they're doing is they're waiting for another group that is walking from Vacaville all the way to Sacramento. This has been a 3-day walk, and really they're doing a walk for immigrant rights. So they're waiting here at the state capitol for those people to arrive. But for now, they're just out here gathering, chanting. We don't know how long they're going to stay out here, but we'll continue to follow this story. For now, live in Sacramento, Carolina Estrada, KCRA3 News.
Carolina, thank you. And yeah, interesting timing, the immigrant rights walk all the way from Vacaville to California, up to the state capitol. Over 3 days had been planned long before this escalation taking place in Los Angeles. So back up over the scene in Live Copter 3, you can see the crowd there that is gathered for the protest Carolina is covering today. From what we understand, more people have been showing up to this march, and they're expecting, again, for this to converge with the second march, part of a 3-day march coming in now from the city of Davis. That's where they started this morning. We have more now on State Attorney General Rob Bonta's announcement that he's filing a lawsuit against the Trump administration over this escalation in enforcement.
Bonta says the deployment of the military in Los Angeles is unconstitutional and tramples the state's sovereignty.
With this order, Trump and Hegseth ignored law enforcement's expertise and guidance and trampled over our state's, California's, sovereignty. They unlawfully invoked a law that's intended to prevent an invasion by a foreign nation or a rebellion, or local and state law enforcement make it so that the laws of the United States cannot be executed. Those are the only 3 triggers that would provide for the invocation of the National Guard, and none of them were present here.
And we're also hearing from California Senator Alex Padilla.
KCRA3's Michelle Bandor continues our live team coverage from the state capitol. Michelle?
Well, yes, and Senator Alex Padilla tells me today that it is just heartbreaking watching what is going on in his hometown of Los Angeles, of the people that he represents, and the demonstrators and protesters here at the state capitol agree with him. This is that state capitol here rally that is happening, and horns are honking, music is playing, chanting is taking on as people are protesting against the ICE raids. Now, as we mentioned, the Northern California Coalition for Just Immigration Reform did organize that 3-day march from Vacaville to Sacramento, and that we're waiting for the merging of the two groups to arrive here as they're walking to Sacramento Capitol. And it looks like on the far end, the crowd is cheering. They are, if you can come over here, Matt, you can see that the people are arriving on the state capitol grounds here. It's okay if we move forward a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Why don't we just come over here and we'll show you. The crowd started getting excited as this new group is arriving here, as they've walked here the 3 days coming here to Sacramento, starting in Vacaville. Again, that's the Northern California Coalition for Just Immigration Reform. And there's more than 200 migrant workers and families that are walking here to the state capitol, arriving now to bring attention to immigrant rights. And that's what Senator Padilla wants people to focus on and to protest here peacefully. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the folks arriving. The crowd is cheering as these two groups are merging here, as they are fighting against ICE raids and against the immigration rally that is happening. They're chanting "Si se puede." Now, Padilla says that he's going to keep working to stop the federal government from intervening on people's rights to free speech and to protest. If we want to go ahead and listen to what he's saying as the folks here arrive.
On the government side, we're going to continue to demand information. Eventually, we will get it. Eventually, we will be able to take actions against the overreaches of this White House. But in the meantime, communicating to the public. Again, I'm not suggesting that people go home and not protest. Continue to peacefully protest, and use our voices.
And back out here live, this is the second group that is now merging here on the state capitol with the other group that was marched from the ICE building today. So these folks came here from Davis today, these migrant workers who have been walking here the past 3 days to protest the ICE raids, as well as to fight for their rights as migrants. More than 200 people arriving here as they've been walking that long journey for 3 days. I'm going to stop talking just so you can feel the intensity and feel what's happening here as they arrive at the state capitol. As you can see, just a really intense situation as everyone here is merging together to fight for their immigration rights, to fight for what migrant workers want, and to protest against those ICE raids in Los Angeles. We're, of course, going to stay here. We know they're going to speak on the West Steps to talk more about their issues. And, of course, we'll stay here for that and bring it to you later throughout our newscast. Reporting live at the state capitol, Michelle Banjour, KCRA 3 News.
Michelle, thank you. The president of the Service Employees International Union had been in ICE detention since Friday, and he was formally charged today.
58-year-old David Huerta was arrested while protesting the actions by immigration officers. Today, he was charged with conspiracy to impede an officer. That is a felony charge carrying a maximum sentence of 6 years in federal prison. Huerta made his initial appearance in court. The judge set bail at $50,000 and Huerta was released. And the Trump administration has said any California leaders who get in the way of federal agents doing their job could face arrest.
That includes Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and the governor, Gavin Newsom. President Trump said this morning that the arrest of Governor Newsom would be a, quote, great thing.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing.
So when Governor Newsom was told about the possibility of the Trump administration trying to arrest him if they felt he was interfering with border enforcement, he did not back down to those threats.
Tom Homan, the border czar, said to me yesterday he did not rule out literally arresting you,
Yep.
nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his words. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Lay your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Lay your hands off these poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
Republican lawmakers are supporting the president's comments. Congressman Kevin Kiley posting on social media saying, quote, if Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom would rather ICE not conduct targeted immigration operations, there's a simple solution. Stop being a sanctuary city and sanctuary state. Cooperate with federal authorities and stop egging on violent agitators.
Congressman Tom McClintock posted on social media, quote, Democrats encouraging the violent rebellion against federal law enforcement should be ashamed, and those inciting it should be prosecuted.
And there's this from Congressman Doug LaMalfa. The rioters need to be arrested immediately to stop the threat, and the elected officials who are inciting and aiding them need to be dealt with sternly. We will continue to follow these marches throughout the evening.